I've never seen it any more plain. God has something to say to us this morning. God is in control. I'm going to be reading and quoting some verses and leaving out some inserted words, but apply yourself. Apply yourself. Listen. Jeremiah 10:23, O Lord, I know the way of man, not in himself, not in man who walks to direct his own steps. There is a way right to man, but its end, the way of death. A man's heart plans his way, but oh, thanks be to God for the people of God. But the Lord directs his steps. God is in control. This truth should be of the greatest comfort to the people of God, especially during hard times. I know some of you have been through some hard times recently. And when I say hard times, I'm speaking of difficult, distressing, painful, and trying times. Isaiah 14:3 speaks of the day of the Lord gives you rest from your sorrow and from the fear and from the hard bondage in which you were made to serve. Now, these severe seasons we go through may indeed be likened to hard bondage. Because as bondslaves of God, Romans chapter 6, you see that, we are appointed to seasons of affliction. You see that in 1 Thessalonians 3:3. You cannot avoid these seasons of trouble. God has determined your before appointed times. The psalmist says to God, my time's in your hand. Psalm 31:15. No one is able to snatch us out of Christ's hand, and no one is able to snatch us out of the Father's hand. We are in His hands. You cannot remove yourself from the hand of God during these pre-appointed times of trouble. God says in Psalm 50:15, call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver you, and you shall glorify me. The day of trouble. Whatever duration the day of your trouble is, whatever amount of time that season is, do what the psalmist says again. Direct your eyes to the Lord our God until He has mercy on us. Psalm 123:2. Christians, God is in control. Now, I believe we have two primary areas where we find ourselves in difficult times. Number one, when God is chastening us and correcting us for sin. Hebrews 12, verses 10 and 11. God, as our Father, chastens us that we may be partakers of His holiness. Now, no chastening seems to be joyful for the present, but painful. Nevertheless, afterward, it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who have been exercised by it. As Jamie quoted this morning, before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now I keep your word. Job 5, verses 17 and 18. Behold, happy is the man whom God corrects. Therefore, do not despise the chastening of the Almighty, for he bruises, but he binds up.
Amen.
He wounds, but his hands, those hands, Christian, that you are in, but his hands make whole. Thanks be to God. He is in control. Number 2, another area, and this is the area I want to major in right now. The second area where we find ourselves in difficult times is when God is testing our faith. James 1:2. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. The ability to make it through to the end. To bear up under the mighty hand of God. But again, how can I count it all joy when I am in the fire of adversity and affliction and calamity and distress and tribulation and trouble? Fire can cause severe pain. Fiery trials are serious. Peter has some good things to say about that too. You're rejoicing in the midst of the painful testing of your faith must come because God is in control. Now, when I wrote that down, I found that a little hard to follow. The source of your rejoicing is knowing God is in control. Rejoice in the Lord always. And he says, again I say, rejoice. Now, the key verse for this devotion, Colossians 1:17, in speaking of Christ, says, in him all things consist. Consist means hold together. I want to read very quickly from a gentleman named William Hendrickson, because I can't say it better, and make a point about it. Excellent commentary on the book of Colossians. All things hold together. That is, they continue and cohere. There is accordingly unity and purpose in all nature and history. The world is not a chaos, but a cosmos. It is an orderly universe, a system. This, to be sure, does not always appear on the surface. Nature seems to be raw in tooth and claw, without harmony and order. Yet a closer look soon indicates a basic plan. There is adaptation everywhere. Everywhere there is coherence. Should we not rather compare our world to a weaving whose underside forms no intelligible pattern, but whose upper side reveals beauty and design? Ever seen a tapestry? Look on the back of the tapestry where the weaving maybe begins. I don't know, ladies, how that happens. But it's a mess. But on the other side is this beautiful, beautiful picture. Well, that's what we see in our world today. Though these things may appear chaotic and out of control in our hearts and minds, feel overwhelmed when within us, there is a design, especially for the people of God. All things work together for good to those loving God. Work together has to do with design. God has a design. God is in control. Rejoice in the Lord. Question for you, because I ask myself, do I really believe that God is loving, caring, kind, compassionate, good, forbearing, gracious, and merciful? Then why are you cast down, O my soul, says the psalmist, and why are you disquieted within me? Hope in God, for I shall yet praise Him. Now listen to this. This is what we close with. The help of my countenance and my God. King James Version, I think it says the health of my countenance and my God. That word health, help, means salvation. Look it up. The salvation of my countenance. What is countenance? It's your face. What do I see on your face? I see what's inside. You know, even judges in the court system today, they can judge you from your countenance. They can say, I tell from your countenance. The face reveals the inner person, cast down and disquieted within. When you're down in heart and mind, hope, expect from God, because you shall yet praise Him. You may say you won't, but you will, if you're one of the people of God. And again, how can I say that? Because He is the salvation of your inner person, where all that pain and confusion's going on. He will deliver you. He will complete the good work He began. Psalm 27:14. I've been saying this recently to you. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and He shall strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Jamie even said it when we were standing back there. One of these things I'm going to repeat now. God is in control. The Lord knows those who are His. He's got you. He's got you. If you're one of His people. In your hard times, wait on the Lord until He has mercy on you. Wait on the Lord in faith until He has mercy on you. Amen.